Hey, how's everyone doing? Couple of things to add here. This is going to be a bit of a slight twist from the previous times, but it's something that may be helpful to some of you as well. Recently, I've kind of looked back. Um, I've kind of came upon a snag. Basically, I'm supposed to do background works and such, and to a certain degree, I'm competent doing background works. Competent very loosely, and well, I wasn't satisfied by that. And then I kind of went into this breakdown of saying, well, then what's going on? What's happening? Why is my background work not as fluid as, let's say, when I draw characters? And I kind of pinned myself in a corner when it comes to understanding that I did not really have any inspiration when it comes to backgrounds. I've also barely had the time to draw background for my own work. When I say barely have the time, it's either I'm mixed up in overtime or I'm working on other people's contract instead, and I barely have time to just go that distance. And then, boom, it kind of hit me. Going the distance, I haven't technically done that as often as I would want. And what I mean by that is, um, there's often times where I would start drawing a character, focusing on the expression, focusing on, loosely where this character is heading or where the camera is, and that's about it. And that's not the entire distance I know I can push something. So, what's going on? And again, when it comes to time, I had this stress and paranoia for time. So, I need to break out of that habit. And it's basically I've basically kind of just tried to set myself up for a kind of training that will force me to go through the distance, but just loosely, you know. Basically, just giving myself a chance to go the distance as fast as I can, and then looking at how quickly I can simplify to get the entire, let's say, set. And this is mostly because I want to push my work. To a certain degree, I kind of want to push my work in another level, but not being too obsessive about it, like spending eons and hours and such on that, um, restraining my progress. I want to integrate this kind of training method into my gestures, into my loose drawing, so I can get into the habit and then eventually just be able to perform on that, on that set, if you know what I mean. So already it was kind of difficult to just understand that, yeah, haven't really been going the distance a couple of times, and now basically what I want to do and try to integrate in my training, or my loose gesture, is to basically try to have miniature set pieces and attempt to have like backgrounds, um, as I draw, like backgrounds colors, not background colors, but background values and set pieces along with the character. And this kind of just forces me to go really fast or go a tad bit faster, and then two, as I go fast, I no longer try to think too much about what about my weaknesses and such. I'll get to evaluate them after, and then say, okay, I may be going fast on that one, but this is what I need to. This is the same mistakes I keep doing over and over and over. So this is something I need to try to integrate. And when I, let's say, work this quickly, I try to make sure that my brain thinks about all these simplifications as fast as I can, or as fast as it can. And all this to properly integrate that into my work next time, like right now I'm going at it with shapes, so I'm not sticking to the stick figure yet. I at least try to get movements with shapes so I can more easily place down the figure. It's a very fun thing because I make use of the silhouette to just place the figure down, to place the figure into an environment, and now I'm trying to justify it with shapes. trying to properly put it in place with, shapes, with your cylinders and with your boxes. Again, not trying to be extra super accurate, but I just want to um, put the pose down. And the same goes when it comes to rendering my character. Like right now, I'm drawing the main character from Extra Stage, and some people will be like, which version are we at right now? And I'm like, I don't know. I upgrade as I go. And um, I upgrade, I give you guys the upgrade as I go. But the funniest part is, um, this could be a joke for all the Tumblr and Twitter posts, but once the comic is gets rolling, maybe it's not gonna be like that, Again, I'm still in that miniature little vortex when it comes to getting towards the pages, but with this, I'll at least, attempt to get a much better workflow. And now it's like, just don't try to think, just go with the feelings, just okay, hair's flowing like this, and he's possibly around about to ready a punch. So you see, this pose looks much more like attempting to ready a punch. So right now, I want to try to modify that hand. I don't know if you guys can see it correctly. Like, just trying to modify that hand. Maybe I should just kill the light. No? Bloody hell. That's the thing with this camera. I am not too proud of this camera. It has a better resolution, but it seems to cause me grief when it comes to colors. Let me just do one last setup. This kind of messes around with my tricks. Alright. Oh, wait. I can kind of just trying to set it up. Nope, not at all. This is gonna have to work. Sorry, guys. This is one of the reasons why I'm gonna have to add budget to the cam. You see, that kind of broke my flow right away. Like, come on, camera, light. Trying to make this all work. You guys don't have to think about this kind of stuff when you draw. You don't have to record it, so that's good. Okay, let's see. Just trying to hammer in leg position much better. Especially when it comes to leg position in perspective, make great use of your squares. Make great use of your squares, and also the, let's say, see-through lines in a sense. When you're basically doing a line that'll go through the mid part of a figure, well, this could really help you in perspective, because as you come up front, you get a better base to what your perspective is, or what your placement is in space, Let's see. Okay, so I was about to make him about to punch, and then let's see, the arm is like this. Again, I've got a bit too nitpicky about the positioning, so now I'm just trying to settle that down. Floating, trying to do it a tad bit fast, but at the same time trying to understand a bit of the texture as I go as I go at high speed. And this is where I get to the meat of the thing. Basically, environments, or trying to get a bit into the environment. And let's say we're fast forwarding to, no, not volume 6. We're gonna fast forward to volume, actually, yeah, end of volume 5, volume 6, when shit kind of hits the fan, and this environment is a bit more of a, how do you say, rubble area. So basically, this character is maybe halfway through a door, so of course the door is gonna be higher, leading to a hallway or leading to another section. We just add the other side of a door, like just really roughly, but you'll want to turn your paper and basically just take that line. At the same time, I do want to have Let's see. I kind of don't want to ruin this or spoil this environment a bit, but it's kind of an apartment building, but it's a bit of a mess. So to try and re-emphasize that, let me one make sure that I set my wall correctly, just to get the full height, and then I can start destroying it. How do I break this apart? Let's say the wooden frame is gonna crack. The wooden frame is kind of cracked. Um, can I make it? You know what? I'll make it go from the top as well. But then, just to re-emphasize on how broken it is, I'm gonna make sure this wall gets a nice big hole. So this is only gonna be held by the top of the room, and this is just broken. And broken walls. Jeez, there's multiple, let's say, ways to go into broken walls. Um, I guess the best way I could tell you is basically get a reference online of the kind of wall you are breaking, and then you'll be able to understand what's inside the wall, so that once you break that wall, you'll be able to clearly represent this was a wall from, let's say, a high stake apartment, a very expensive and fine apartment. This is a wall from a hotel. This is a wall from an excavation site. Like you can, wait, I was about to sharpen my pencil, but I've got backups. Put your amount of backups, like at least 4 pencils, just so you can go change next, change next. Now, this kind of it's like, okay, sure, wall, that's okay. What else is inside an apartment? And now this is where you start adding, even if the apartment's kind of empty because of the current event, start adding stuff that people would leave in an empty apartment. And this is where you gotta face yourself, where your character is a certain size. You need to make that character fit in the environment, but you can always have this back and forth between raising, um, kind of like raising the size of certain elements to fit next to your character. Like right now, I'm trying to squeeze in that table in a sense, just to see how it would look. And just by the fact that I'm trying to squeeze in that table, I'll understand that, okay, there are certain ways I can try to squeeze in elements that won't work, and there's other ways where maybe I should set them up way before. I guess that's another perspective technique as well, where you'll just basically set up your elements via squares. And now I'm seeing a couple flaws, but I'm just going for it. And at the same time, what's worst, or what's good, is I can just pick up a redder pencil or blue pencils and just modify it as I want, because there are, in this kind of experiment, I just want to do this as fast as I can to figure out issues, to figure out stuff, and trying to get my mindset, or trying to get my hand into the motion of basically allowing me to add everything, everything that's part of a scene, or trying to create an entire scene. Um, like, and using this as a refresher more than a rule, or a refresher of all the tools that you've acquired, and how you can use them. Like, okay, he's about to throw a punch. I just want to settle the fist. Just really doing it quickly. And of course, I can always go back on this drawing afterward with tracing paper, just to properly set things afterwards. Don't, just loosen up, okay? And honestly, I do not have a recommended amount of time, or a recommended set of time for this. I honestly don't. It's at your leisure. So right now I'm adding a back wall, possibly adding a, let's make this somewhat of a hallway, but at the same time I want to make sure that this wall indicates that you can go further. You can go a bit further back. Well, not further back, but you can go on the left. So I want to make sure that there's a tangent, so that there's wall, and then there's the complete back wall that's leading somewhere else, you know. It's a bit difficult, and I'm pretty sure I've badly got the angle for this, but you know, just loosening up, man, loosening up. Let loose. You have it wrong. Take a note. Like right here, take a note. Same goes here. Let's see, this is an apartment, so should I add a carpet? What kind of apartment building? You see, you get into those mindsets and it's a lot of fun. It's like, what kind of apartment buildings? Is there a carpet? Is he in the hallway? Are there doors next to it? This basically would invalidate the fact that there would be doors because this is straight up a wall, like a thin wall. But where does that wall lead to? Is it going to lead upstairs? And this is where I can start thinking about stairs. But this is where it gets a tad bit trickier because I'm just starting to add more perspective lines just to try and give myself a gauge of how would I put stairs. I know the first step would be like this, and this sends me into a 2-point perspective because indirectly I've did I've done curved lines. Meaningly, yesterday I was reading this section on curvilinear perspective, and I got fascinated. Like, just, I love this. I've got this love and addiction for perspective, yet I haven't really been able to fully master it, and this is part of it. But again, you know, one thing at a time. I want to get my character animation or my character expressions down, or at the same time understanding anatomy as well, but just getting a couple of critical fundamental things down, and then boom, jump back and forth. It's all about trying just trying. So when it comes to perspective, with this kind of exercise, I'll do more and more, and I'll try to push it even further. This is where you notice I have not done steps that often. And funny enough, I can add another wall to it. This is going to be the weirdest stairway, but you know, you make it fit, and then you understand why didn't that work? What else could work in that sense? Or what can I pull off? You know, you just keep evaluating. And let's see. Okay. Already at 17 minutes, and you see, that's talking. If you don't talk, you'll be able to pull this off really quickly, and that's an exercise. I should be doing one of these per 10 minutes in a sense, I think. I'm not exactly sure, so I'll have to time myself. And that could be a video I'll implement later on, just trying to record these kinds of quick, fun exercises. At least doing a set of these. And this is where I want to add shadows. Seeing that this is going upstairs, there's gonna be no light. The light's right here, so it's already kind of hidden, or hidden from that position. See, I still want to make sure that that wall piece, that door frame, broken door frame, is very apparent. And funny enough, I might just be able to just give it its own specific shading, reinforcing the lines for the broken piece of wall, even though, remember, references can really help in that sense. And even if you feel like it's gonna slow you down, you're gonna learn. It's gonna help you. No joke, it's all about learning at this point. Trying stuff out and learning and going that extra mile, that extra distance that we may not often get the time to do so, or we may not remember to do so, you know? And doing it in a loose way, man. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be absolutely 100% sure of what you're doing on the spot. You'll be able to go back on that drawing and just, you know, correct it and say, all right, I need to watch out for this, this, and this next. But at least, you know, putting yourself in that zone and seeing how far you can go when it comes to adding all the fundamentals, or just being able to add your character in a set piece. And their leg position was bad. And you see, that is something I need to work on. Like, not starting the drawing with the legs necessarily, because that can help as well. but understanding placement and proper ways to place, or integrating placement and ways to place characters and environment in my gesture, and by doing more of this, I'll be able to understand that. So let's add some very, very simplified lighting on the character, seeing that it's not like the sketch is done, but it's just trying to get that all of that detail in. Well, not all that details, all those elements you could say. The kind of like adding the five P's and five C's, if anyone who's read Loomis remembers, trying to get all the fundamentals down into your training session and not really caring much about quality, just seeing if you're able to properly do that. And then, of course, once you get back to your regular work, your commission work or your own comic work, after the practice, you'll kind of at least had assimilated a part of the stuff that you need to work on. Like, it's one of the difficult parts that I find, and I guess it's mostly because of the way, again, the way I've been taught when it comes to that. Getting it right on the first blitz and like kind of getting away from it afterward, and it's like no, you need to remember it. You need to have it all and understand how it all works, or at least practice. It's all about practice, and remembering to do said practice. Let's see. The same goes with shading, or simplification of volumes. Like, you practice it over and over and over, and try to get it all down. Like cast shadows, right there. Of course, at times it makes me wish I threw the environment bigger, but that's not the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise is just hammering those fundamentals down in your head and practicing them as fast as you can, just to see if you're able to remember them all, and just keeping it, how do you say, make it a muscle memory would be the best way to describe it. Attempting to get it down as muscle memory. So if you're too shy about certain aspects of it, this is gonna, slap you across the face and say, well, you don't have any more choices. You're gonna have to do it. And this is where you're flawed at. I guess this is more so training for, if confidence training, in a sense. Just to kick your confidence and just remind you that you're able to acquire a certain level. You're able to reach a certain level. And maybe because you're shy about tackling on these things, you're not tapping into your full level, or you're not properly remembering certain things. So this is why you're going to need to correct them later on. Like, already here, I'm finding out so many things that I could have done better, like right now, line quality, setting down the lines after I set up the main volume is something I'll need to practice. Either I'm gonna have to tackle this on with another pencil, just take my redder pencil and add the final lines after the initial draft, or black, straight up in black, and then do the rest when it comes to shading and such things, do it all in black. Also, pencil control. There's many times where I wanted to do flat lines, especially with horizontals, that my pencil wasn't on the fine point of sharpness, but I still found myself trying to get that line without the pencil being sharp. That's just stop being lazy and pick up your other pencils. I have like 4 backups right next to me, so that's one thing. And you see, all this, like, I'm starting to break down my own, let's say, flaws to a certain degree, or things that I could upgrade. And then next shot I'm gonna do, which is hopefully gonna take less than 24 minutes, seeing that I'm not gonna talk. Next shot could be a different kind of scene. This still feels kind of empty, even though if I did the stairs, the path to the next apartment, and let's say a corridor. This is still empty, so I need to figure out what else in an environment like this could make it not empty. And maybe this leads to stairs, but this leads to another set of apartment. Even if evacuated, it could still work. And now I see the height is not good enough. My character is way too big. So that's one thing that I kind of missed out on or messed up. And that's mostly because wall-wise, I need to, I guess a trick would be, and let me do it right now. What is this? Carmine. Let me just get Scarlet Red. A trick would be, I have a perspective here, okay? And then I have a line of perspective for my character. So if I recede that line of perspective for my character to the far back wall, then I can properly gauge my character should be mid-height of an entire wall. Let's see, and this is really rough. Usually you would pull this off during the sketching phase, but you know, as fast as this was, like it's no little worries, but at least now I'm going back through the process of just, let's correct that. So if my character is mid-wall, this is the middle of the wall, some wood, some sort, then I can start saying that the height of the wall is here, in a sense. Let's see, like always relativity, you know, and then just trying to, how high would this be if my character was like this? So basically, this gets to be a bit tough. So now we get to go through the square. This is the tough part. How do I pull this off? And there you get into the breakdowns. Okay, wait, let me just take another pencil. At this point, purple. Okay, and also bring out the ruler, because this is the correction part. I do want to make another video on that too. Okay, let's go with this. This is going to be our horizon line. This is going to be our vanishing point. So at this point, our scene square, well, too bad I started with a character, so there is no scene square yet, or, you know, in a sense, background. So at least now, setting up the character height, this is the height at this point. If I send it all back into perspective, back to its vanishing point, and this is where you kind of get to play doctor with your own drawing. This is the height I get back onto the wall. And this is where I get to wonder, how high do I want to make this? If this is the height of my character, okay, then basically I can send it, like as I'm receding it, this stays the same, okay? As I send it to the wall, like I'm just gonna send it using parallel lines because I want to compare to the wall. And this is where vanishing point, background, this is my wall. This is the midway point because my character is short. This logically should be the height. So if, and only if, this is the height, or the real height, it still doesn't make much sense though. I'm trying to figure it out. Or this is because, like, going into shape breakdown, let me just add my character in a square format. Just pulling out all the stops, man. Just pulling out all the stops. This is like, I want to figure this out. This is personal. You guys are dragged into this. There's no escape, okay, guys? Well, except if you click the X button, but you're not gonna find out what happens in the end. So let's see. All this is for a small practice, but it's a lot of fun. Just figuring yourself out. Seeing that the horizon line is a bit below the character, this is the top part. Let's have this be like a tad bit rough square. Maybe I should have just spent a tad bit more time on it. Yet I just want to figure things out here. So let's see. This is okay. Maybe this is the issue. Okay. It's because basically, and when you look at it, my character's spacing. See, if I make my character recede into space or in perspective, he's basically too close to the element I'm trying to draw. And since I've receded it to this wall, logically my wall should be here. The base of my wall should have been here. So let's say I'm gonna extend him again, like or extending his base, okay, or extending his base platform. This is all sorts of technical shit, but you guys can easily figure it out with instinct. Basically, the corner of my wall should have been here instead of here, which is why the perspective doesn't make sense, because right now he was being way too close to the wall and it just didn't make sense as with the perspective. But now, just going through all this, I can figure out that the base of my wall should have been here. So what does that tell me? Well, that tells me perspective-wise, next time I start a drawing like this, I'm gonna put my character in a box, and then as that box is set, as that pose is set, then I'm going to start working on the environment with the same kind of box breakdown. But again, trying to, stay loose and all such things. So I'm gonna need to be a tad bit more accurate with my perspective lines and my perspective positioning, because this is kind of a huge flaw. But hey, again, spent 30 minutes on this while I should have been spending less, and again, drawing and talking doesn't work. And I say I should have been spending less just in the veins of the experiment. You can take as much time as you want, it's fun practice to set you back on the path of using all the tools that in a sense, or acknowledging, like, going the distance, at putting your entire environment, your entire set piece, putting your actor, putting him on a set, putting your player in a stage, being able to develop all that, doing it quickly, and then understanding, where am I going wrong? What have I not done in the last few years, and what can I upgrade? And right now, perspective, placement, line work, a couple of tips, and switching pencils around that time, plus elements, like, and I guess I might as well note them down, let's say initial placement, and then for initial placement, I'm going to tell myself set gesture, then box in for perspective breakdown. Perspective breakdown relative to room construction because it's a fine, it's a fine balance between constructing a room or being able to set the elements and then like you and again it's a personal problem, but there's a balance to acquire between being able to set your character, in fluid motion without holding yourself back because you've already drawn an environment and you want to make the character fit in the environment. There's always a fine balance, all right? And in a case like this where I'm not exactly sure how I wanted to represent the scene, my only objective was to set a character in the scene. um, I basically started with a character and then worked with the background or set a background after. But there's multiple ways to do this. All right, it's not one set way. You don't have to say I have to draw the character, the background, and then draw the character. Uh, it can go either way. It all depends on your scene, how you're feeling, and how's your analytical breakdown of all of this as you go. So it's actually I can even do, seeing that this goes all the way up. Let me just add some dotted lines. Why am I adding those dotted lines? Because I do want to get an issue of the ceiling. So again, back with the previous relationship between, this goes all the way here. If I bring it all the way up, then of course my wall is further back, and this is its contact, its top point. I'm just trying to verify it again. See, this gets to be rather fun just going over this thing. This one drawing, and you're gonna do many of these, and you're gonna be able to just notice and spot these things. And don't be afraid to use references. Like right here, I've done it without references, but if I just took photos of destroyed buildings and apartments, then I would have a much more elements to add in a sense. Even right now, I can even start doing a cube to set up that table a bit further back. Everything's available. Just go for it, alright? There's no set rules. There's lots of tools, but there's no set rules. So you can mix and match and do what you want. Hell, I even added a box here. Let's add a box, just because I can. Let's see. Oh, wait. No, that doesn't work. Does not work. My wall is still on the same set, and this goes here. If I translate this over there, kind of using curvilinear perspective, I do get my halfway point of the wall, but of course I'm receding it in the background, so the top is not necessarily there. It's a bit higher. I shouldn't really be able to see the top. Again, all of this you take at your own pace, and during your fixing phase, you just go at it, fix it all, find out how to make certain things work, and go through this breakdown. Just have fun, but do multiple of these, just to push yourself further and further and further, and then, all right, let's pause. What am I doing wrong? What can I change? What would look better? What have I forgotten in the last few years? And then go on. And again, it's all about having fun and seeing how far you want to push yourself in this. It's not a necessity, it's just kind of like a blitzkrieg PANZERFRUST training. And yes, this took way too long compared to what I promised to do. This is why next time I gotta do a time lapse. Something I'll see if I can set up this week, doing time lapse of these and just trying things out. And this is supposed to be my wake up time. So you see, I'm already up drawing for 40 minutes. Alright guys, so I guess advice, pick up your fundamentals and then just try to blitz them in. to see how well you understand them, and then correct what you don't fully understand, or just go back on the notion that you don't fully understand, and then maybe take a bit more time afterwards to correct your drawings, setting things correctly, and understanding what you've messed up, in a sense, or what you don't have a full understanding of, or a full grasp of. It's little training techniques that'll spark you again. Like right now, I'm fully sparked for perspective. I want a round two with this. I want to fully break it down. Even though I don't like the drawing and the design, I'm just gonna break it down and see where I can, where I've messed up. And obviously, it was positioning and placement. So next time, it'll change. All right, and if it doesn't, then I'll have the same breakdown, and it's gonna be pounded in my head until I get it. All right, guys, I'm off. I will see you all later on, and hopefully I'll be able to add some time lapse of these, because I want to do more of these. Comic time, right, guys? Later.